Hi, I'm Dickie Chappell. I'm here at Real World in the big room. I've been working here since 1988, and here we are still in 2013, almost 14. And best years of my life here working at the studio. I was trained here, worked on all the SSLs to start with here, and I was first introduced to Sony Oxford in 1996. We ended up buying 2 of those consoles, and they became, my favourite console to work on. And we did a whole bunch of projects, on those consoles. And I was really surprised to see that when Sonnox started to bring out their product, it was identical to what I was finding from the console work that I've been doing. It was the same thing. We take them on the road for live work, and we take them in the studio wherever we're working, wherever we go.
So on the last Peter Gabriel tour, one of the dates, in fact it was 2 dates at the O2 in London, and it was shot as a 4K movie. And we're here at Real World Studios mixing the audio for that. A lot of the work that I do is involved with mixing in the studio as well, so shows that I work on, I very often get to, or I'm lucky enough to get to mix in the studio. Which is nice because one of the frustrating things about doing live work is that you end up never getting to the heart of what it is you're trying to achieve. There's a lot of firefighting and chasing around after things, and the opportunity to take a show and get it into the studio and really nail all the things that you were trying to achieve in the live show is very satisfying. My go-to plugin would be the R3 EQ, ideally with the GML. So if you look at this session here, most of the EQs that are on here are the R3 EQ. Another favourite, which I used to think of it as a secret weapon, but it seems like everybody uses it, is the Inflator, which I use primarily on Peter's vocal channel, to have it just give it a presence that dominates the mix. But I use it on the drum bus as well to give the drums some life. And in fact, when I'm mixing live shows, very often I'll use it across the whole mix and utilise it more as an effect, actually, in quiet numbers. It's really great for adding detail and presence to tracks which sometimes can disappear into the room a little bit. You wind the Inflator in across the whole thing to centre the PA, and it really pulls it up and makes it feel like it's right there for you.
Inflator for me is my favourite thing, just to pull out and make something, it just sounds better. It's just instantly you go, yeah, there you go.
The Reverb is another great favourite of mine. It's very flexible, you can tailor it to do exactly what you want. There's really comprehensive EQ section in there. It's very flexible.
There was one time, it was the closing of the Italian Winter Olympics. We needed to get over to Italy and play a version of John Lennon's Imagine, and we particularly had to take over that reverb to work for the broadcast. So it was going around the world, and we could only work with that reverb. Couldn't get it there, so we had to take it with us. Managed to make it work. So that's always there as a vocal reverb for Peter. Gets used a lot.
So this is on the EQ and filter section. It's just very usable and friendly. So if I'm EQing, if I was starting from a flat with this vocal, I'd listening to it. It has a boxy quality which is a bit unappealing. So the first thing I'd be looking for is some brightness, and the way I would normally do that is to do it quite tight, start off quite tight like that, and then wind it up and find out where the energy is in the vocal, and sweep around like that. So I want to try and avoid areas that are hot, so I'll sort of steer away from that. So if you get up past 5 kilohertz with this particular example, then widen it, and it just starts to sweeten up. And there's also, because Peter's right up close to the mic, it's a bit poppy, so I'll put a filter in. There's also, with this room, there's a kind of frequency in the room itself on this stage that has this sort of thickness down here, which is a bit unappealing, so I take that out. And then finally I have a personal grudge against this frequency, which for me I find are very unpleasant, so I'll just nick a bit of that out. That, for live work, that particular frequency is something that causes a lot of difficulty in rooms, and so I'll spend a lot of time making sure that area of everything is handled clearly. And then the other thing I really love about the Sonnox range is the Inflator, which is, I've always found it is you know, just everything louder than everything else functionality, and really helps the vocal to sit just proud of everything without having to have it feeling like it's louder than everything else. It gives it its own space within the track. This is Peter's piano. So the problem we had with this piano was that it was right next to David's guitar amp, and then not far away from that it was also it was Manu's drum kit, two of the noisiest components on the stage. So, and we were miking it with 3 microphones, and so when the drums kick in, if I scoot forward, you can hear it sounds fairly civilized there, but when the drums come in, you can hear all of that stuff, all of those drums coming through. And then when it goes up a level, you can, so if I take the EQ out, if I bypass the EQ, you can hear there's a lot of the lower frequency from the bass drum comes through. And so I've got a filter on there to take the weight out of the bass drum that's coming through on the piano, and then a number of kind of cuts. One of them in that 250, 220 area that I can't stand. It gets a bit barky, a bit like that's a bit of an unpleasant frequency in the range of the piano, which is quite dominant. And then there's a sort of barky quality to it as well, which and it's also quite a dull, or not a very bright piano. So in fact, this is one of the things that we've been doing, is going through it and just adding some of this sort of 5.5 kilohertz on a wide, just to pull up the top end of it and make it sing a bit more in the track. Sonnox feels to me like a very solid friend, actually, when it comes to mixing.